Good day, mate, and welcome to the land down under. We are now on our third continent, known as Oceania, and we are in, that's right, Australia. This is our third day of Around the World in 8 days, and we have already stopped by San Francisco and Easter Island, and we are now in Australia going to enjoy this beautiful country that is jam-packed full of natural and cultural wonders. Now, the song that you listened to in the beginning of the video is Percy Granger's Australian Upcountry tune. And he wrote this in the beginning of the 1900s. It was performed vocally at his own wedding. And Percy was actually a really good friend of another composer we've talked about this year, who wrote the piece known as In the Hall of the Mountain King. Do you remember Edvard Grieg from Norway? That's right. They were really good buddies. But even though this was performed with just voices, it has also been performed with instruments. But I do have a question for today, and that is, what is the musical term for when you hear a group perform with voices only, no instruments whatsoever? What do we call it when we use our voices to perform? You are singing what? Most of you got it. Let me give you a little clue if you weren't quite sure about it yet. So Mrs. Spears and Mrs. Casewell, they often point to their patella, which rhymes with what you hold up in the air to avoid getting that rain on your head. Umbrella. And so this group that just performed, they were all singing a cappella. That is right. Give yourself a big pat on the back. Good job. So our next thing that we're going to do is we are going to get to hear the beautiful sounds and really awesome sounds of a very rare and unique instrument that is from Australia, created by the Aborigines, the native people of Australia, about, they believe, 1,000 years ago. And this instrument is known as the didgeridoo. Now, the Aborigines, they actually use this for their ceremonies. And they often try to copy the different sounds that they hear out in nature. They create these really cool rhythmic sounds. And here's a kind of cool, interesting fact about the didgeridoo that they have just discovered, and that is that it actually helps people who have problems with sleeping. If they have sleep apnea or snoring problems, playing the didgeridoo may actually help them out. Isn't that kind of crazy and cool? So next up, here is a musical performance on the didgeridoo. Now try to listen really close and see if you can figure out what animals that they're trying to copy the sound of. Hope you enjoy. Well, hi, Phileas. How are you today? You doing good? Yet you heard the awesome didgeridoo, so you wanted to come and have fun with us? Well, that's pretty funny. You thought that the dingo sounded like your grandmother Edna? Oh, that's hysterical. I've never heard a frog sound like a didgeridoo playing before. But you know what, Phileas, I'm glad that you finally came around here because you had a pretty cool idea last time we talked. Okay. Well, did you bring it with you? Oh, good job, Phileas. So this is the book Alexander and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day. And Phileas reminded Mrs. Engdahl that, you know what, in the book, it mentions the country Australia several times over. And so today, boys and girls, we're going to do a musical lesson. And there's a couple of things that you want to make sure that you bring with you. So we're going to give you a little bit of time to grab a hold of something that you can make rhythms with. And something that you can create a crescendo and decrescendo on. Now, I usually like to use rhythm sticks, 2 of them, and a drum or a bucket of some sort. But if you do not have these things at home, what you can do is find a couple of pencils. You can find, for instance, a couple of wooden butter knives, plastic spoons, spatulas, wooden spoons, a little plastic bowl or a Tupperware bowl, and maybe even if you have a box at home, that will work as well. And these are things that you can create rhythms on that will make the sound of a drum or 2 rhythm sticks being played together. So go ahead, try to find something, pause the video if you need to. And if you do not have these things, you know what? You can always use your body as an instrument, right? So boys and girls, before we get started, I want to go through the rhythm that we will be playing in today's music piece. And it goes like this. Terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. Shh. So will you please copy me? I'm going to break it up into sections. Echo after me. Terrible, horrible. Ready, and your turn. Awesome. The next part goes like this. No good, very bad. Ready, go. Very nice. Now we have the last 2 parts, and it goes like this. Day, shh, ready, say. Awesome. Now when we put them together, we get the whole rhythm. Here we go. Terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. Shh. Now let's see if you can do that with me this time. 1, 2, ready, go. Terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. Shh. Awesome. Now, if we were to break this up into music notation, you know, we've been using our taws, we've been using tt, and we've been using shh. And if we were to use those syllables instead for when we say our rhythms, then it would sound like this. Ti-ti-ta, ti-ti-ta, ta-ta, ti-ti-ta, ta, shh. So whenever we get to that part, you'll see the music notation up there, just like what you saw right now. And you can go ahead and use that to your advantage. Now I'm going to be reading the part, and you can hear the clicks in the background. And I want you to try to play along with the syllables of the words, the musical rhythm, as best as you can. Okay? Now finally, we got one last part, and that is every time that you hear Australia, we're going to drag the name of the country out, and we're going to start with a crescendo. Now, crescendo means that we start soft and we gradually get louder. And then we'll end the word Australia with a decrescendo. Decrescendo means starting loud and gradually getting softer. So it's like we're starting soft, we're getting really loud, and then we get soft again. And it sounds like this. I'll pat it on my legs. It goes, Australia. So let's try it together this time. Are you ready? Start soft, get loud, and then get soft again, okay? Ready, and Australia. Wonderful job. All right, I think we're ready to go. So make sure you either have your body ready to go with your clapping and your patting, or you have your musical instruments ready to go. Alexander and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day by Judith Viorst. Illustrated by Ray Cruz. I went to sleep with gum in my mouth, and now there's gum in my hair. And when I got out of bed this morning, I tripped on the skateboard, and by mistake, I dropped my sweater in the sink while the water was running, and I could tell it was going to be a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. Shh. At breakfast, Anthony found a Corvette Stingray car kit in his breakfast cereal box, and Nick found a junior undercover agent code ring in his breakfast cereal box. But in my breakfast cereal box, all I found was breakfast cereal. I think I'll move to Australia. In the carpool, Mrs. Gibson let Becky have a seat by the window. Audrey and Elliot got seats by the window too. I said I was being scrunched. I said I was being smushed. I said if I don't get a seat by the window, I am going to be carsick. No one even answered. I could tell it was going to be a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. Shh. At school, Mrs. Dickens liked Paul's picture of the sailboat better than my picture of the invisible castle. At singing time, she said I sang too loud. At counting time, she said I left out 16. Who needs 16? I could tell it was going to be a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. Shh. I could tell because Paul said I wasn't his best friend anymore. He said that Philip Parker was his best friend, and that Albert Moyo was his next best friend, and that I was only his third best friend. I hope you sit on a tack, I said to Paul. I hope the next time you get a double-decker strawberry ice cream cone, the ice cream part falls off the cone part and lands in Australia. There were 2 cupcakes in Philip Parker's lunch bag, and Albert got a Hershey's bar with almonds, and Paul's mother gave him a piece of Jelly Roll that had little coconut sprinkles on the top. Guess whose mother forgot to put in dessert? It was a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. Shh. That's what it was. Because after school, my mom took us all to the dentist, and Dr. Fields found a cavity just in me. Come back next week and I'll fix it, said Dr. Fields. Next week, I said. I'm going to Australia. On the way downstairs, the elevator door closed on my foot, and while we were waiting for my mom to get the car, Anthony made me fall where it was muddy. And then when I started crying because of the mud, Nick said I was a crybaby. And while I was punching Nick for saying crybaby, my mom came back with the car and scolded me for being muddy and fighting. I am having a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day, I told everybody. No one even answered. So then we went to the shoe store to buy some sneakers. Anthony chose white ones with blue stripes. Nick chose red ones with white stripes. I chose blue ones with red stripes, but then the shoe man said, "We're all sold out." They made me buy plain old white ones, but they can't make me wear them. When we picked up my dad at his office, he said I couldn't play with his copying machine, but I forgot. He also said to watch out for the books on his desk, and I was careful as could be except for my elbow. He also said don't fool around with his phone, but I think I called Australia. My dad said, please don't pick him up anymore. It was a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. Shh. There were lima beans for dinner, and ugh, I hate limas. There was kissing on TV, and I hate kissing. My bath was too hot. I got soap in my eyes. My marble went down the drain, and I had to wear my railroad train pajamas. I hate my railroad train pajamas. When I went to bed, Nick took back the pillow he said I could keep, and the Mickey Mouse nightlight burned out, and I bit my tongue. The cat wants to sleep with Anthony, not with me. It has been a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. Shh. My mom says some days are like that. Even in Australia. The end. Huskies, that was fantastic. You guys did an incredible job today. Thank you so much for staying with me the whole entire lesson. And I look forward to seeing you next week when we are going to head off to Japan. Maybe even check out a cool firefly festival. Now, don't forget to tune in every day for a little bit of specials with one of us teachers at Holmes Park. I know tomorrow we have some PE. Thursday we have Mr. S doing a music lesson. And Friday, Mrs. Toomey. We love and miss you all and hope that you're doing really good. Remember to stay safe and take care of one another. And as they would say in Australia, cheerio.